Yo, what's good, you guys? My name is Cruxel, and today I have a special treat for you. I got Dark Aether on every single weapon in Modern Warfare. We're going to show every single one that I have unlocked. I'm going to be rating them on a scale of 1 to 10. You guys let me know in the comments which one's your favorite. Thank you so much to my homie Phil the Gamer, who showed me how to do this trick. You can find out many ways on the internet right now. But anyways, let's get right on into it. We're going to start with the assault rifles here, which is one of my favorite categories. A lot of guns. We're starting off with the Kilo 141. It's a little bit mid to me. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of non-Dark Aether spots, but it's still pretty cool that over the top rail and everything it's covered. So I'll give it a let's say a 7. Foul here. This is good coverage, except for the fact that a lot of the grip is like not Dark Aether, so I'm gonna have to give it a 5. But it's pretty cool looking still, even though I don't use the foul. Now for the M4A1, one of my favorite guns. This has some great coverage. Again, the grip is not quite colored in with that Dark Aether texture, but still it looks stellar to me. This is going to be a solid 7.5. Ooh, and the FAMAS, one of my favorite looking guns. This absolutely looks insane. There is a lot. It's kind of split half and half with the Dark Aether and like the untextured part, but still, I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10. That looks incredible. Moving on to the Odin here, another one of my guns that I really don't use very often, but this looks really, really freaking good. That whole top rail being covered in the Dark Aether texture makes it an easy 8 out of 10 for me. M13, I do use this one quite a bit in Modern Warfare. I enjoy the fact that the entire front side of the gun is covered in this, and if you see the grip, it actually has a weird like kind of glitch with the Dark Aether. The magazine not being colored in is not my favorite part, but I will give that a solid, let's say, 9 out of 10. That's the highest one so far. Moving on to the Scar 17 here, one of my favorite guns back in Modern Warfare 2, but I do not use it in Modern Warfare 19. Pretty good coverage, a little bit half and half here, very middle of the board. I will give this a solid 6 out of 10. AK-47, this looks absolutely insane. I love that the butt of the gun, or at least where you're aiming in, is covered in that Dark Aether texture. Oh, that looks so good. I'm gonna have to give this the first 10 of the day because I'm a little bit biased. The AK-47 is one of my favorite looking guns, but this is absolutely amazing. Ram 7, holy shit, dude, this is covered in Dark Aether. The front grip doesn't have any texture. The trigger doesn't have a texture, which I think some of these will have a triggered or a covered texture on the trigger, but it looks absolutely amazing. 9 out of 10 for sure. Also, just a reminder, make sure you guys are dropping a like on this video if you enjoy the content up until this point. Ooh, the Grau, it doesn't look super good. I mean, the magazine is solid. The fact that the bottom of it has that texture is really cool, but not enough coverage for me. I'm going to have to give this a 5 out of 10. Very middle of the ground for me. Nothing I've scored too low so far, though. I'm surprised. The assault rifles are really solid and consistent so far. Oh my god, dude, the AS Val took everything cool with the AK and then made it more insane because the entire silencer is covered in Dark Aether. That is a 10. Did I already give the AK a 10? I think I did, but that is another 10 right there. I don't even use the AS Val because it's so cheese. It's just like, I feel like a bitch boy using it, but wow, that looks incredible. Now for the AN94, one of my favorite guns, I gotta say the coverage is not super good. I hate that there's that little island of like non-textured things right in the middle of the gun. I will give this a 6. No, that's a 5 out of 10 because the back of it doesn't have the Dark Aether texture, which really bothers me for some reason. So that does it for the rifles. Let me know what you thought of those down in the comments below. Which one was your favorite? Let's hop into the SMGs, starting with the AUG here. Again, not very good coverage. I'm kind of disappointed because I love the AUG in this game, but that's going to be the first sub 5. I think that's going to be a 3 out of 10. That's pretty ugly. Even though the Dark Aether texture is cool, it's still pretty fucking ugly. Ooh, the P90. Oh my god, dude, that is terrible. That is like some of the worst coverage I have seen. Now, I do have some other blueprints I want to try this out with, but all of these are blueprint free. It's just the base gun. So for that, I'm going to have to give this a 2 out of 10. That might be the lowest in this entire list. MP5, oh, it bothers me that the very back of it doesn't have the Dark Aether texture. It's just that like dark metal, but still, this looks very solid. I love how much coverage this has. I'm sure with the silencer, it'd look crazy. We'll give this a solid 7 out of 10. And now for the Uzi, another gun I love. I love all the SMGs in this game. I mean, I'm just going to be biased here, but wow, that coverage looks incredible. The front grip, as always, on most of these guns is not covered, but I'm going to give that a 7.5 out of 10, just barely edging out over the MP5. Ooh, and the PP Bison, again, just like the AN94, it doesn't have the back of the gun. I don't know what that's called, covered in that Dark Aether texture, which really does kind of hinder it a little bit. I will still give it a 6 out of 10 because it looks pretty insane still for such a weird looking gun. But it makes me feel better, you know, at least I'm not the only one with a weird looking PP. All right, moving on to the next SMG, we got the MP7 here. That back, like, pull thing looks insane with that texture. I love the coverage here. This is going to be an 8 out of 10 for me. If the back was like a little bit more colored in, or maybe the rails on top, it would be an easy 10. But that is really solid. And now for the striker. Oh my god, that coverage is insane. I love the look of this gun. It's very classic looking. This is a solid 9 out of 10. I don't know why I don't want to give it a 10. I feel like I don't want to be too generous with those, but that is a very good looking gun with Dark Aether. Wow, I wish that was in the game. Like, legit. Now for the Fennec. Oh my god, that looks a little bit weird, but this is one of those times where less coverage is actually doing more because it's like the certain pieces are covered in Dark Aether. That's actually really cool. I'm going to give that a 8 out of 10, which is probably going to be one of the higher ratings for a gun with coverage as little as this, but it's all in the right spots. Look at that sight. That's insane. Moving on to the ISO here. Holy shit. Oh my god, that actually looks not as good as I wanted it to, but I guess the whole top being covered is cool. I kind of hate when the guns are like cut off half and half, so this is going to be a 5 out of 10 for me. Those bolts are pretty cool though, the way they're colored in. Now for the CX-9, holy shit, that is ugly. This is going to be one of the worst SMG ratings I give. Along with the P90, I think this is going to be a 3 out of 10 because that just doesn't look good in the same way that the Fennec just did. But I think that does it for the SMGs. Moving on to the shotguns now. I do have 2 of these locked, so unfortunately those aren't in the video. But starting with the Model 680, that is a very good coverage. I love that the entire barrel is just filled with that Dark Aether texture. Looks great. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10, I think. Nope, that's a 7. This is going to be a 7. Now for the R90, a gun I don't use very often because, again, it's just so cheese, but it looks very sick with those 4 barrels at the very end covered in Dark Aether. A little bit half and half like some of these other skins, but I'll give it a solid 6 out of 10 because that is fucking gorgeous still. Moving on to the 725, speaking of cheese, we got a huge barrel covered in Dark Aether, which I love, and the grip having the metal texture actually really works for this, so I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now for the Origin 12, oh my god, that is my favorite shotgun I've seen so far. That whole chunk of Dark Aether at the very top is just chef's kiss, and the magazine doesn't look super ugly, being like some weird color. It's that dark metal color, so this is a 9 out of 10, I'd say. Moving on to the Marksman rifles here, another one of my favorite categories in this game. The EBR is one that I don't use very often, and it doesn't have the best coverage. It's a little bit half and half. But, ooh, the trigger, or like under the trigger having that texture is very sick. That makes it a 7 out of 10 for me. Mark II carbine, I was really waiting for this one. I am hyped to use this in game. Hopefully they don't patch this anytime soon. That looks stellar, amazing, just like spacing of all the textures and everything. We're gonna have to give that a 8.5 out of 10. Maybe, no, that's 8.5. Now for the Kar 98K, Jesus, dude, that is terrible. One of my favorite guns in the game. They have absolutely butchered it. That is easily gonna be a 1 out of 10. Look at that ugly strap. What the fuck were they thinking? Well, actually, they weren't intending on having this texture in the game, but still, what has gone wrong here? Moving on to the crossbow, though, this looks absolutely insane. Look at all those texture details in there that are just interspersed. It makes me just wish that they had Dark Aether from Cold War in this game fully because it looks fucking amazing. That is a 9 out of 10 easily. Yeah, we'll keep that at 9. All right, moving on to the SKS. I need to stop being so worried about my ratings, but look at that trigger being covered in the Dark Aether texture. This is another 9 out of 10. Absolutely amazing work on the SKS here with Dark Aether. Wow, that looks amazing. Moving on to the SPR, another gun I use so much that I got Obsidian, and I really don't like the way this looks. I mean, the magazine being covered in the texture and the trigger does help it quite a bit, as well as the back of the stock and the bolt. Actually, that's pretty cool. We're going to keep that as 7 out of 10. Now moving on to the pistols. These are ones that I am very excited to see because I use pistols a ton. The X16, the classic Glock, looks amazing. I actually love the fact that it's half and half here because it looks very clean. That is going to be a 8.5 out of 10. Moving on to the 1911. Wow, great coverage here. The pistols are fucking knocking it out of the park. I think this is going to be another 9 out of 10 because of that just simple classic look. The 357, dude, continuing this streak. Amazing coverage. I love the gold bullets peeking out of the revolver chamber there. This is going to be, I think, an 8.5 out of 10 for this one. M19, wow. Okay, that looks really cool with the trigger, even though you would never see it in game. Just knowing the trigger has that texture and like the magazine release, everything about that is very cool. That is an 8 out of 10. The Deagle, dude, they are not missing with these pistols. Holy shit. For a massive pistol like that, you want to have a bunch of texture coverage, and it is there. So that is going to be a 9 out of 10 for me. I am shocked at how good all these pistols are going, but they know how to texture these things, all right? Now for the Renetti, a pistol I don't use very often. It looks pretty cool. I like how the, the screws are covered in that Dark Aether texture, which is moving, kind of similar to the 1911. We'll give it a 7 out of 10. Now for the final pistol, Saikov, holy shit, that looks absolutely amazing. This is the most coverage coverage we have seen or possibly will ever see on a gun. The entire thing, except for the bottom of the magazine, is covered in Dark Aether. So that is easily a 10 out of 10. Might be my favorite gun that I've seen Dark Aether on. I know it's weird to just want the whole thing covered in the texture, but that is perfect. Moving on to the LMGs here, I am missing 2 of these for sure, but all of these are kind of weird, champ, to use anyways, so sorry if I don't have your favorite gun in here. The first one's the PKM, and it's ruined by this magazine. Do you see how off color that is from the Dark Aether? I know this is not planned to be in the game, but that makes it easily a 2 out of 10 for me. Get it the fuck off my screen right now. Ooh, SA87. This gun looks a lot like the QBZ from Cold War, and it really looks incredible with the Dark Aether. This is going to be, I think, a 6.5 out of 10. Only because I just don't like the look of the gun overall that much, but I might be a little biased there. M91, another time the magazine is kind of just really out of place. I think that's a big thing for these box magazines. It looks cool with the bullets coming out of the side, but I wish those were textured. Therefore, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10, I think. But it is a lot of good coverage. For the MG34, man, this could have been so sick with that huge barrel that I just won up my ass. Technical difficulties. With that magazine there, it is just really throwing it off. So I'm gonna have to give this a solid 4 out of 10. Ooh, Holger, the dick and balls gun. And oh my God, that looks insane, dude. The coverage on the magazine, the fire switch selector, I don't know what any of this is called, the trigger, everything is nuts. This is easily a 10 out of 10 for me. That looks really good, and I just want to fondle those magazines. I mean, what am I saying? I'm sorry, y'all. So many technical difficulties. Anyways, moving on to the Bruin. I only had a blueprint, so this is the only one with a blueprint on it, but that's because I at least wanted to show it off, so I can't guarantee the base gun looks like this, but with that blueprint, it looks insane. We're gonna give that a 7 out of 10. The LMGs are pretty weak, but I'd never use the guns anyways, so I figured they'd be lower on my list. Now for these snipers, one of my absolute favorite classes of guns in Call of Duty. We're starting off with the Dragunov, one of my least favorite snipers, but holy shit, it looks like the AK and a massive sniper had a baby, which I guess is a great way to describe the Dragunov anyways, but that scope being textured knocks it out of the park. Holy shit, this is a 8 out of 10 easily. I'm gonna give that actually an 8.5. Yeah, that's a good score for that one. All right, moving on to the HDR. It does bug me that the scope is not textured. It's cool that the scope locks, or the thing that hold the scope in place, is textured, but the rest of it, it's not the best coverage. It still looks incredible though. We're gonna give that a 7 out of 10 for this one. Now moving on to the AX50, the scope being textured is a dream, and the whole barrel except for the end, this is just out of this world. This looks like it would be an insanely expensive bundle in COD Mobile or some shit. I'm gonna give this a 9.5 out of 10. And then for the final sniper, we have the Rytec, and holy shit, actually, this is another one just like the Fennec SMG, where the selective coloring with like the Dark Aether actually really works in its favor. Do you see that scope? All of those little dials and everything be covered in Dark Aether while the rest is metal. I love that. That makes it a 10 out of 10 for me. That really stands out. I can't wait to use this in game, actually. That looks really fucking nuts. Anyways, moving on to the launchers here, a second to last category for you. Thank you if you've been watching the entire time. You've got the Pila, or the PILA. This is great coverage. Looks like a wonder weapon from Zombies or something. I'm gonna give that a 9 out of 10 because I really have no problems with it. Huge coverage on that one. Again, great coverage on the Strela here. I don't really like the look of this thing. I don't know why it has a camcorder off the side, but I'll still give it a 7 out of 10 just because it's pretty badass. Oh, the Joker, you gotta be joking me. I don't know why there's so much non-textured parts of this. It kind of looks weird, like crappy styrofoam or something. So for that, I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of 10, even though it is technically good coverage. Oh God, the RPG, massive freaking RPG shell, or whatever they're called, the rocket itself is just colored bright green, and it just clashes with this absolutely terribly. So I'm going to give that a 2 out of 10. Again, one of the lower ones of the day. Moving on to the final category here, we got melee weapons, which I am missing the Kali sticks. I am sorry, but starting off with the knife here, that looks like something that would cost about $4,000 in CSGO. Anyways, that is incredible. I'm going to give that a 8 out of 10. And I have the dual Kodachis, the 8-bit or 12-bit, whatever it's called, bundle for it. So this isn't what the stock Kodachis look like, but absolutely insane. Do you see those diamonds being covered in the grip with the Dark Aether texture? That makes it a easy 9 out of 10 for me on the Kodachis, which are very fun to use as well. And now for the final item, we have the Riot Shield. I mean, I figured this was going to have insane coverage. I love the look of it. That is easily a 9 out of 10 for me, although if you use this, you are an absolute cuck, so fuck you. Anyways, that about does it for every weapon that I have unlocked in Modern Warfare 2019 with the Dark Aether texture from Cold War Zombies. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. Thank you so much for watching to the very end. Consider subscribing and definitely like the video if you've watched it up until this point, as I'm assuming you've been liking it. And maybe check out my Twitch channel where you can find me playing Cold War and every Call of Duty game pretty much. We have a good time over there. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Cruxel once again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.